We will tell you what you need to know, what you want to know about our philosophy, our thinking, what we believe. So now I invite the practitioners to come up and join me.
Are we going to ask questions, or are y'all just going to talk?
Yes, you'll be able to ask questions.
Yes.
However, so I'm going to start us off, though, with a question, an explanation. Up here, this window is our symbol, and it symbolizes a lot of things that we believe. And so I'm going to start the discussion off with an explanation of that. So who wants to start?
Wait. With the symbol?
Yeah, the symbol.
Oh, there's a
Explain
symbol,
what that
there's a symbol slide.
And when it's time to,
One more.
when it's time to do your questions, Brian is going to take a mic. Which mic?
There
How do you pass that around? Don't worry about it.
That one is, yeah, that one is easier to pass around out in the audience.
Okay, so I'm going to speak about the symbol. I have a ring I got years ago. I have a lot of rings, but this one is the teaching symbol. We call it the teaching symbol. When I'm having a bad day and things aren't going well, and I already know all this stuff. I know all this stuff. I know that you know all this stuff too. I forget sometimes, because I'm still mortal. But when I look at that teaching symbol, it reminds me. The opening at the top, we are open at the top. There's always a new idea to learn and a new revelation. The open wide space at the top of the V is symbolizing the allness of God's, let's say the mind of God. We can't contain that. But that symbol is that open area. And it comes through, that says spirit here on this picture. It comes through the center band, that says the soul and the law. I say there's an inspiration from God. And it's coming through the top, It comes into my mind, into my heart, that aha, oh, I could have had a V8. Oh, I could have asked God for help. Oh, I could have asked my neighbor for help. When you have an aha insight, that doesn't just come from you. It's from God. Then it comes through this center band, which is the law, and it says soul. That's the way the system works. So it's impartial. It has nothing to do with how I feel and what I like and what I don't like. It's just the way it works. And then the bottom of the V says body and effect. That's the results manifested in the physical world of my prayer. So the thought comes from God. It's my divine connection, and I'm in on all of that. I'm part of that divine energy. So the aha of, oh, that's what I want for the world. That's my prayer for connection, for you. That comes into mind. Then it has to pass through, well, how do we do that? Well, it goes through the law. The natural law works the way it works. Well, tell somebody, create a committee, write a book, get a talk show. Some way it's going to happen. And the bottom is the effect. I had an aha a while ago that I wanted to have a new life. And a year ago, I moved to Santa Barbara and met all of you. So I use this image all the time if I get caught up in the mess of things and I can't remember how to get out of this stuff I've tangled myself up with. That symbol brings me right back to what were you thinking? Because you're creating all the time. That's the way it works. That's what I have to say about that.
Anybody else?
Chime in on it? No, she was pretty good on that.
That's my favorite thing is that symbol.
All right. So, Brian, would you like to come up here? And I'm opening it up now to anybody that has questions. Come and,
I will take the mic.
There's one.
So, I'm curious if any of you know sort of more about the story of Ernest Holmes and the formation of the spiritual organization. My understanding was that he wasn't trying to form one, and that it came into existence because people really resonated with the teaching, and he was more interested in having sort of educational base, and so a little bit about that would be awesome.
We found out in the training and over history that Ernest Holmes was a philosophy and religion student at USC, I believe it was. And he wrote this treatise in the 1920s called The Science of Mind and Spirit. And it became a focus for study groups around the country. It became very, very popular. And people started applying for nonprofit status because of this book. Ernest was going on about his business connecting with the Divine One. That's what he was all about. And his people around him that knew him and knew what was going on, and with his book, suggested to him that he actually do something so that his work would remain under his name. So they convinced him to actually open a nonprofit himself, and he decided to call it The Science of Mind. And that's where it came from.
How about the Church of Religious Science? How did that?
That is an evolution through Ernest. There's the United Church of Religious Science, and at one point there were 2 or 3 different organizations. Religious Science International, United Church of Religious Science, which was, as I mentioned, was Ernest Holmes' home. Holmes is home. But recently, within the past, 3, 4, 5 years ago, there was a thrust to unite all of those organizations, and now there is one United Church of Religious Science. And it's taken on the additional name, Centers for Spiritual Living. So if you look in the phone book, look for Centers for Spiritual Living, and you'll see them in various cities all around the country and around the world. Okay. Any other questions?
Anybody else? We gotta have a lot of questions, because this is what we're doing.
Well, actually, I found something on the internet that was, that talked about Ernie, and I call him Brother Ernie, like Reverend Nirvana used to call it. But it was pretty concise, and it basically said that Science of Mind is the core teaching of Centers for Spiritual Living. And it's a philosophy that integrates spiritual truths with science and physics. Simply put, Science of Mind teaches the unity of all life. Intentions and ideas flow through a field of consciousness, which actually affects and creates the world around us. The idea is common to most major religions and is supported by the teachings of psychology and quantum physics. And it basically states that we believe that the secret to living a successful life is to consciously choose positive and productive thoughts. Put another way, as you think, so you become. And it is the intention of Center of the Heart to use Science of Mind principles as a force for good in our world by transforming our personal lives.
So it is. Now, I do have some, could you go back to the other,
No,
Back.
She has a screen.
Yeah,
A
that
question.
one. Questions, okay.
yeah.
So, it's going to take the next one.
We have a question here.
So what is science, Center for Spiritual Living's position on evil, sin, and is there a devil?
That's a loaded one.
No, I meant, that's like 5 questions. Okay.
Well, the position is that it's all good, it's all God, there is no evil, there is no sin, and what's the other one? Oh, and there is no devil. We essentially believe that it is all God and it's all good, and if you're thinking that way, that's what shows up. If you think there's a devil, then that's what shows up. If you think there's evil, then that's what shows up. So we don't entertain those ideas. And so
What about big mistakes?
those are big mistakes. And
they're good.
it's a mistake and you can correct it. You can change how you feel about it, you can change how you think about it, and it will start to change for you. And it's like, I always tell people, I have no regrets. People don't believe me, but I don't have any regrets. Whatever happened in my life, I made a choice, it happened, and there's something good and wonderful in my life because of it. Even at the moment, if at the moment it seemed bad, like, getting pregnant at 17, but I have my wonderful son and my triplet grandchildren from that, and it's all beautiful and wonderful. So I could spend my life going, what if I hadn't, what if I hadn't, what if I hadn't? Well, I wouldn't have what I have. So it's a matter of, it's really focusing on the positive and not just like positive thinking, but really knowing that it's all good. Really believing it and knowing it's all good and it's all God and it's all happening for a reason. That's what I have to say about it.
The word sin comes from the meaning of to miss the mark. It's an archery term, I believe. So it just means you made a mistake. You didn't quite get it. And this is how we learn, is from making mistakes. And then we try again and keep going. So that's one of the things that we believe about sin and evil and whatnot. Anybody else?
What I've come to recognize is that the universe is in divine balance. And balance has this side and that side, and in the process of aligning ourselves with divinity, we also have free choice. And so we can find ways to divert from that. And some people might call that a mistake. Some people might call that misunderstanding. Some people might call that sin. There's terms for these things. And my belief is that the universe is created itself through us, as us. And so if we are aligned, if we are the universe, if we are God, if we are expressions of God, we are moving our way towards balance, the divine balance. And we're here for an experience of life. And so it's all God. It's all good. It's all in our power to choose what we want to be. And we can call it all kinds of things. We can call it sin, we can call it good, we can call it evil, we can call it whatever we want to call it. But it's all divinity being itself through us. That's the way I see it.
When I think about, let's say, sin or a mistake or evil, usually I'll say me, usually when I'm thinking about, oh, that was terrible, that was a terrible mistake, a car accident. That's a terrible thing. And if I stop myself and remind myself to look at a bigger picture, instead of narrowly focusing on that one thing I didn't want, if I look at a bigger picture, I'd say, now I'm training myself to say, well, what's good about this? I had a car accident 2 years ago. My favorite car, I had a Miata that I loved. I wanted to keep forever, and somebody, after 23 years of driving it, they didn't see me, and went through a red light and just crashed, and I saw them coming, and I thought, I can't stop it, how can I stop? I couldn't stop fast enough. Anyway, I ended up getting a new car. The love of my life took me around car shopping because I had a broken foot and I couldn't test drive anything. I have a new car, it's here today. And my whole life changed. That's just one tiny example. It changed from that terrible bad thing and a bigger focus, different to a wider field. So many good things came from that day. And it's happening all the time. An earthquake, that's a terrible thing. You're caught in here. This is how the earth evolves. It's been happening forever. There's nothing personal about it. It's part of the process. If you look at a bigger picture, get started when you're 17. You can make something, God makes something wonderful out of everything that happens. God uses everything. Like a wonderful beef stew that has all kinds of stuff in it. Or a tapestry. Beautiful tapestry is going to have some dark, seriously dark colors in that. Oh, I don't like that color, it's ugly. But it's part of a bigger picture. When we look at a bigger picture, God is everything, everywhere. That's why it's so wide at the top.
Okay, do we have any more questions?
If you see one up there that you want to just recite to us, we can do that.
Okay.
The next one, do we believe in reincarnation?
Since I have the mic,
Yes.
we don't say that yes, there's reincarnation, or that no, there is not reincarnation. I myself believe in reincarnation. Maybe others here don't. It's not a particular tenet of our faith. However, as was stated earlier, Ernest Holmes did a lot of studying of all religions, and he took the best that he liked from each of them that, that were, the ideas were the same or similar throughout these religions, and that's what he put together in his treatise of Science of Mind. So I think maybe there's a couple of religions that do believe in reincarnation. So that was not specific to all religions, so he did not focus on it. And here, we want people to think and grow and get into whatever they want. Like some of us do this chanting that's a Buddhist chanting. And some of us are into certain Hindu practices. Many of us have been Catholic and still hold that in our hearts. So we don't, tell people they can't believe what they believe.
I agree completely with what Lily said, and one of the things that I came to through my observations of life is that if, which I do believe, the God is in everything and part of everything, and we're floating in it, and it's in us simultaneously, and energy doesn't die. This is what science says now, and that is corroborating with the divine energy of God. When a person dies, that energy is like a drop of water into the ocean. It becomes one with the divine. One spirit becomes one with the divine. And every time a new child is born, part of that one divine spirit goes into that new child. I have no idea how the concentrations work, but I believe that through logic, a spirit of a dead person can go into a new person. That's what I see.
And I think there's so many lessons
so many lessons, she doesn't think she can learn it in a lifetime. Okay, any more questions? Okay.
The last question was, believing in Jesus Christ. Yeah, the last question was, believe in Jesus Christ.
Oh.
Yes, and I usually answer that with a song. Jesus is just all right with me. Jesus is just all right. Oh yeah. Again, Ernest Holmes studied Christianity. He began his studies with Christianity, so that is a definite part of him. We do not focus on Jesus Christ per se, but we do talk about Christ consciousness as being very important in the development of a person in their life. Anyone else?
We also, we also see Jesus as a great example, not the great exception. So in the Bible they say, Jesus has said, all that I do, you too can do, and more. So we look at him and his consciousness as something that we can achieve. We can achieve that connection with the divine that he had that created miracles. And
primarily because he told us that.
right. He told us we could, yeah. So, we use his teachings, but we don't teach Christianity, I guess would be a way to say it.
Well, we don't not teach Christianity.
No.
There's one last thing I want to cover before we end, and that is how we pray. We have a 5-pronged organized prayer, and it starts with acknowledging God. God is all there is. And then we align ourselves with God. We call that unification. We know that we are of God. And then we go into the positive aspects of what it is we want, and we speak it as if it is happening now. Then we have thanksgiving, and then we let go of our prayer and let the universe make it happen, bring it into form. So it is. So that is our,
I have something from Reverend Mary
oh,
that
right,
I want to play.
okay.
That's what I was kind of like, and the fervent
Okay.
prayer is up behind you too. And there's a, which you can touch on while you're on this subject, or should I just go to Reverend Mary?
Well, I think she just explained it fine.
Yeah.
People absorb that for a second, just look at it
Yeah.
and see it. If there are any questions, we can address those briefly, and then we'll go to the video.
Questions about the prayer?
Yeah.
All right, how about if we do the video? Oh,
I would say one comment, which you all heard me say, and I think Diana knows this, but in Kundalini Yoga, Yogi Bhajan says, if you can't see God in all, you can't see God at all. So I love that quote. I think it's very apropos right now.
yes, thank you. Can
you explain to me, because my background is Buddhism, and when I came to this country, say, some Christians said, well, you don't believe in Christ, then you go to blah, blah, blah. And my background is like, no. They like to argue with me.
Well, yes, there are fundamentalist Christians, and we are not fundamentalist Christians here. You can go wherever you want when you don't. As far as I'm concerned. Okay, let's see, Rev. Miriam.
Okay,
Or they're arguing Buddhists. I don't know. I've never run
oh,
into
wait a
it.
minute, she's like talking, but, so,
Did she do this from in Hawaii?
uh-oh.
volume's not very.
I don't know which one it is. Or do we need to change this? Do we need to change this or something?
Maybe.
Roxy the Magician.
Yeah, that's not it.
Right now it's for the CD. I mean, yeah, for the CD. There she is.
You know, I thought it would be really great for everyone who's attending Sunday to learn more about Science of Mind. So we are doing what we call Practitioner Sunday. We have questions and answers that
This one's
people
not
who
it.
come
Yeah,
to
just
Centers
this
for
one.
Spiritual
Oh, I guess it
Living
is
have
this
asked
left and right.
probably over the last 40 years. So we wanted to address some of those. And so the practitioners gave me this question. And the question is, what is the difference between a practitioner and a regular therapist? And what we like to say is that a practitioner helps you to have a closer connection to God. And I like to call them soul sessions, because as we are with you, and I'm going to explain a little bit about practitioner sessions. What we do first of all is that we pray in to allow spirit or the divine to come through not only us, but also you, the person that's in the session. The second thing that we do is we just listen, and we allow whatever is coming up to be revealed, and then we're able to help you. And that could be a myriad of ways. It could be through giving you affirmations to say, maybe it's having you talk out a little bit more of what you would like to have in your life and maybe the vision. And then what we do toward the end, whatever has been revealed, we then pray, and we end the session with a prayer. The very different between a therapist and a practitioner is really that a therapist is somebody that we would use if somebody has I'm going to say, a psychological problem that they need assistance. And they need to delve deeply into that particular problem. And thank God we've got Lily here, who is a licensed therapist. So we've got the best of both worlds here. So hopefully that will help you, and you would love to experience a soul session. Oh, the last thing I forgot. During the session, normally what happens is that I will get an intuitive hit. I know that's happened for Lily, for Roxy, for all of the practitioners as we are praying with you. There'll be something that is revealed to us by spirit, and our intuition shows that to us for us to tell you and acknowledge that for you to advance yourself on your spiritual path. So I'm so blessed that you are with us. Thank you so much. And I'm just knowing that you are having the most fantastic, joy-filled week, and I look forward to seeing you when I get back. Take care. Bye.